gown is very beautiful and it's very simple to make. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. It's Grace here. In today's we are going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful gown from start to finish. Subscribe so that YouTube can let you know anytime I upload my video. These are the items I am going to work with: the sequence material and also the crepe and the ankara. For the velvet trimming, I'm going to introduce to you later, and the zip. Okay, so I'll start by folding my material into two. To know the amount of folds, I'm going to divide the largest part of our body, which is the hip, into four. So the hip I'm working with is 42. I divide the 42 into 4 plus extra 3 inch. Okay, after that I come down at the edge of my material. I mark 1 inch and I draw the line. This line I'm drawing is the starting line. From the starting line, I'm marking our bust point. Our bust point is 10 inch, the waist point is 16 inch, and I connect them on a straight line. From the waistline, I'm coming down by 8.5 inch. From the waist to the hip is 8.5 inch. So, and I mark it. Or you place the tape at the starting line and mark 24 inch. Okay. So after that, I connect it on the straight line. So for the length of this ankara, I want the length for this ankara to be 40 inch, but I'm going to be adding 1 inch for stitching allowance. So I'm marking at 41 inch. I'm marking it at 41 inch. I connect it. Okay. At the starting line, I'm going to mark the width of the neckline to be 3.5 inch, and for the depth of the front neckline, I'm also making it 3.5 inch. Okay, I will be marking the back later. So I'm adding half of our shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 plus ½ inch for stitching allowance. I'm coming down by 1 inch and slope the shoulder. I connect the shoulder slant to the front neckline like this. Okay. From this shoulder slant line, I'm coming down by 8 inch. This 8 inch I'm coming down is the depth of our armhole. Okay. I'm also dividing our bust circumference into 4. I mark the point. I add 1.5 inch for stitching allowance and 1 inch for sewing allowance. Okay. At the waistline, I add quarter of our waist measurement plus 1.5 inch for ease allowance and 1 inch for sewing allowance. At the hip line, I also mark quarter of our hip circumference plus 1.5 inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. After connecting it like so, I'm going to measure what I have at the shoulder measurement. I will measure the shoulder measurement. I use 8 inch, so I'm repeating that same 8 inch at this armhole line, and I connect it on a straight line this. So with a free hand, I'm curving it like so. I give a curve, a armhole curve like so. For the depth of the back neckline, I make use of 1.5 inch and I curve it. I'm measuring what I have at the hip. You can see the way I fold the tape so that I will not miss out. I fold the tape and I'm placing that exact measurement at the hem of this gown, and I connect it like so. After that, I'm adding shoulder slope line of ½ inch. Okay, and I still maintain that shoulder slope line. You can see the way I'm adding it, and after that I cutting it out. This is very simple to make. After cutting it out, I'm also going to place it. This time around, I will be keeping 1 inch for zipper allowance.
I'm maintaining 1 inch, but at the waist I connect the edge of it like so, because our back is not straight, so you need to go in at the waistline. I go in with that 1 inch and I curve it like this. Can you see the back, how the back is? If you are a total beginner at this waistline, you can decide to trim out that 1 inch by connecting this waistline to the hip line, and you connect it back to the neckline like so, and you cut it off. Doing it this way is to eliminate any zipper bulge at the back, okay, since it is a straight gown. So I'm notching my zipper allowance. I'm taking note of my zipper allowance, and after doing that, I'm using it as a pattern to get my facing. So I'm just using it to trace out my facing like so. I'm cutting both the front and also the back. Another thing I'm going to take note is where I will attach my pockets. So at this waistline, I come down by 1 inch. You can decide to maintain that 1 inch, and I notch it. I've already used the facing to turn the back neckline, okay. So from the neckline, I'm going to stitch down to the waistline like so with a very loose stitch, because I will be attaching my zip later. And from that 16-inch point, I'm going to stitch it down with a very tight stitch, because I will not loosen it again. Moving on, for the front, I've already ironed a stitch with this sequence material, and I'm using it to cut the front design. This front design that is like, that has a V shape. So you can see what I'm doing. For the length of this design, it actually depends on what you want. You can make it smaller, you can make it big. So after tracing out the neckline, I at this shoulder slope line, I mark 4 inch, and at the hem of it, I decide to use 22 inch. You can use 21, 22, as the case may be. When I connect the face part, I didn't like it, so I have to reconnect it again. I'm very much okay with this, so I'm cutting it out. So guys, it's very simple like this. So after opening up, we have something V shape like this for the front of this gown, okay. So this is how we are going to place it. We'll be placing it like so, and ensure that this pencil area is at the center of your gown. And I'm going to place the facing like this and stitch it down, guys. Sorry guys, I actually stitched it down. I was having in mind to stitch down this design at the top, that is to top stitch on it, not knowing that I need to cover up the neckline. So I have to loosen it and do it again. And after stitching it and flipping it to the right side, to the wrong side, I'm inputting hemming gum. I put in the hemming gum, I cover up it with a lining. I'm ironing it out. Stitching it round, please notch it, give it a tiny notch, and you flip it like this. If you check mine, I've notched it. So I'm going to use hemming gum to stitch it to I'm going to use hemming gum to iron it flat, okay. After ironing out, I have excess at the facing, so I'm trimming it out. So this is a velvet trimming. It comes in two types. There is the one that has a shine, something like shine on it. So I'm using this plain one. I'm going to use this velvet trimming to cover up the sides, to cover up this rough sides. Okay, that is what is going on in that gown. I'm going to use, they use this velvet to cover up the rough edges of this sequence material. And after that, you are to overlap one. Make sure that you cut it inside in the way that the one that is cut out will not be obvious. Okay, cut it at the middle so that the one that overlap it will cover the rough edge. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to do it this way. In case you must know, this velvet trimming, I bought it 4 years, though it actually remains small, but I use the 2H to align it face, the 2H of it. I haven't cut anything yet. Remember, for this gown, there is a black at the hem of this gown that make it a long gown. So we are going to add up what we have left, because the length of this gown is 58 inch. So what we have left is 17 inch. And I'm not going to mark it at the exact 17 inch. I add 3 inch for sewing allowance. Okay, some inch will be used for joining the ankara and the black crepe material together, and I will use the leftover for the folding allowance at the hem line. Okay, so the same measurement that we have with this ankara, I'm going to place that same measurement and I connect it on a straight line like this. So you don't need to pencil anything, it's just the same measurement so that it will align. So I'm cutting it out. I'm going to cut 2 pieces of this for both the back piece and for the front piece. I'm cutting it on fold. Okay, even the back, we are cutting it on fold. Remember, we have already joined the zipper allowance. All right, and for the velvet trimming, in order for you to be able to stitch it down, the same thing that we did to this sequence material is what you are going to do on velvet trimming. You have to add up hemming gum. Use hemming gum to iron it face before you stitch it down. It will be neat that way. For the design that we have on this black piece, I'm taking the midpoint from this exact measurement. I'm taking the midpoint. So this sequence material will be at the midpoint of this black piece. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so once I get the midpoint, I'm measuring it throughout the black material. I notch it in order to flip it to the right side. Please, this marking, I'm doing it at the wrong side first. I'm going to give it little mark so that it will not be too obvious. So this is the front. I've also iron hairstay on this sequence material. I'm going to fold the 2H inward like this, as you see me do. I'm going to iron it. Guys, fold it in and use your hot iron to iron it. I have to do it off camera so that this video will not be too long. Okay, after that I will be adding hemming gum to iron it out. Okay, I will be using hemming gum to iron it out. Just watch what I'm doing and repeat the exact thing, and you are going to have the same result. I've done ironing it out for both the front piece and the back piece, okay? And it's looking very clean and very neat. Believe me guys, up till this point I've not stitched it down. I only iron it out. And for the velvet trimming, I've also go ahead and iron it out, but I leave about 1 inch at the hemline of this Ankara. This is how I will be stitching it down. I will stitch at these 2 edges like this. If you look this velvet trimming very well, there's a part that has a straight line, so I will stitch on that little line that it has. I'm going to stitch it that way. So before I stitch this velvet trimming, I will be attaching this black to make up a gown, okay? So I will notch the midpoint for both the Ankara and this black, or for this plain material, and we are going to stitch it down like this. That is to get the center piece. And after that, I will continue to use hemming gum to iron the velvet trimming down like this. So I will stitch down the sequence material first before I add my velvet trimming. I will repeat that for both the front piece and the back piece. For the back piece, I've add up the black piece for our gown to be complete, okay? I've also attached a zipper, as you can see. And this is the front. I've also ironed it downward, so I have to cut the excess out. Remember the pocket area? Please guys, if you haven't watched a video of how we drafted this pocket, you are actually missing out, because this pattern of pocket is a professional way of cutting a pocket. If you want to see the video, the link will be in the description of this video, so do check it out, okay? So this is how I'm attaching the pocket to the side. I place it in the way the right side of the pocket is facing the right side of this gown, and I will stitch it like this and top stitch it. I'm going to repeat it on all the 4 sides, okay? For both the front piece and the back piece, like so, right side facing. I'm going to be stitching it down. Stitch it down and top stitch, and I will show you what to do next. After top stitching, I'm placing my front piece on top of my back piece, okay? I will be turning the shoulder. So I place the shoulder line like this. I'm using the back facing to cover it up and stitch it down. So I'm going to repeat it on these 2 sides. After that, I'm also going to stitch the side like this and stitch it like so. And once I get to this black side, I will stitch downward like 1 inch and stop, okay? That is where our slit will stop. So I've stitched it down, and I've stopped 1 inch below the black piece like so. I'm flipping it to the right side. I'm going to be folding the leftover like this and stitch it down, so that we'll have the slits at the sides, okay? So this is what we have. It's looking neat already. Next thing I'm going to do is to attach a sleeve. For the sleeve, I do turn up sleeve, okay? If you want me to show you how to attach or to cut and sew this type of sleeve, let me know in the comment section, okay? And I will be glad to do that. I don't want this video to be too long. I would have shown you how to do that. If you have learned anything in this video, let me know in the comment section. Do not leave without liking this video. Like this video so that YouTube can recommend it to more people to get to see it. And subscribe so that YouTube can always notify you each time we upload a new video, okay? This is where we are going to stop. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye.